Hey guys, Scarlett here. I hope you all are doing okay. And for anyone new here, welcome. I create weekly videos about topics like tarot, paganism, and magic. And for my returning subscribers, welcome back. So I thought we'd have a little bit of fun today since, of course, most of us are all stuck inside right now. So I made this video on 3 pagan gods of beer and wine that you can drink with. So grab yourself a beverage and let's jump right into it. So the first pagan god we are going to be talking about is good old Dionysus. I'm sure many of you all are already familiar with him. So he is the Greek god of wine, the grape harvest, as well as fertility, ritual madness, ecstasy, and theater. And he's also a part of the Roman pantheon as well, going under the name Bacchus. So Dionysus actually has a really fascinating birth story. So he is believed to have been born from the union of Zeus and Persephone, and he kind of represented this chthonic or underworld aspect of Zeus. However, it gets a little bit weird as many people believed that he was actually born twice. So after his first birth, he was killed and then reborn from the union of Zeus and the mortal Semele. So we know wine played a really big role in Greek culture. And the worship of Dionysus was the main religious focus surrounding its consumption. Wine was seen not only as a gift of the god, but as a symbolic incarnation of him on earth. So wine as a symbolic incarnation of God on earth. Does that remind you of anything, perhaps a much later religious ritual? So in the post-classical era, Dionysus was stereotyped as the god of drunkenness. But he's not really the god of drunkenness. In fact, the religion of Dionysus centered around the appropriate consumption of wine, which could ease suffering and joy as well as inspire a type of divine madness that was distinct and different from just regular drunkenness. And if you're looking for a good book to read while in quarantine, I would definitely recommend The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is one of my all-time favorite fiction books. It follows a group of college students who are in the classics department of their university, and they become obsessed with the idea of recreating a bacchanal and coming face to face with the god himself. So I won't give away any spoilers, but things don't exactly go very well for the main characters, and the book turns into a bit of a murder mystery. So next we are going to be talking about Ninkasi, who is a goddess of beer from ancient Sumeria. According to legend, her father was the king of Uruk, and her mother was a high priestess of the temple of Iana, a goddess of procreation. There's also a famous hymn to Ninkasi from 1800 BCE, which both praises her and provides an ancient recipe for brewing beer. Here's a little passage from the hymn. Ninkasi, you are the one who soaks the malt in a jar. The waves rise, the waves fall. You are the one who spreads the cooked mash on large reed mats. Coolness overcomes. You are the one who holds with both hands the great sweet wort, brewing it with honey and wine. When you pour out the filtered beer of the collector vat, it is like the onrush of the Tigris and Euphrates. So this hymn was most likely sung by the ancient Sumerians while they were brewing beer, which I think is super fascinating. And it was then passed down from the brewing masters to their apprentices. So I'll link to the full hymn in the description box in case you'd like to check it out. As is the case with many ancient Sumerian goddesses, Ninkasi was considered both the brewer of beer and the beer itself. Her spirit and essence was believed to be infused into the beer produced under her guidance. The priestesses of Ninkasi were also the brewers in society, and most ancient depictions of brewers clearly show them as women in both Mesopotamia and Egypt. Although once brewing became a commercial enterprise, males were shown supervising the female brewers. And as a side note, the Sumerians actually invented the straw. So their beer usually had kind of a layer of different herbs and sediment on top, so they would always drink their beer with a straw. I just think that's really cool. So for our third pagan deity we are talking about today, we are moving from ancient Sumeria to Gaul, which is in modern-day France, and we will be talking about Sucellus. He is usually portrayed as a middle-aged bearded man with a long-handled hammer, which may actually be like a beer barrel suspended from a pole. And he usually also carries a urn or cooking vessel to store food or wine. So Sucellus was a humble god, and he was above all a god of the peasants. He protected the areas that lie in the margins of society, such as woods or any wild places, but also he protected the fields and the vineyards. Unfortunately, like many Gallic and Celtic deities, we don't really have that much written information about him. So the Celtic interpretation of his name means the good striker, which begs the question, what exactly is Sucellus striking? Well, since he is an agricultural deity, the striking may be referring to the creation of fence posts for vineyards, or maybe it's closer to a Thor's hammer idea and the striking represents creating thunderclaps. So protection of vineyards in particular was a really important aspect of this deity, and evidence of his worship is particularly common in an old Gallic region, which today is modern-day Burgundy, France. So the next time you pick up a bottle of Burgundy from your local liquor store, give a big thanks to Sucellus for taking care of the vineyards all these years. So these are just 3 pagan gods associated with beer and wine, though there are many others because, as we know, the pagan gods like to party. So if you did like this video, please hit that like button and comment below if you would like me to make a part 2. So thanks so much for watching this week, and thanks to all the pagan gods of beer and wine making this quarantine a bit more manageable. So I'll see you next week. Bye!